It's 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. You're at work or grabbing coffee. Your phone rings unexpectedly. You see it's your mom calling. You answer the phone. Your mom is hysterical on the other end. She tells you she just got a call from your younger brother. She says your brother was in a massive car accident 3 states away. She says he's in jail and injured. She says he needs $5,000 for bail immediately. She says if she doesn't send the money, he'll be processed into the general population. She insists she heard his voice. She describes how he was crying and calling her mom. She mentions he used the exact same cadence and nickname he's used since he was 5. She is convinced it was really him. She's already at the bank preparing to wire the money. You are standing there stunned. You look across from you. Your brother is sitting right there, eating a sandwich. You realize your mom is being scammed. The realization hits you. This isn't a hypothetical situation. A narrator explains this is happening to thousands of families right now. The narrator describes this as the most terrifying financial threat in a decade. Nick introduces himself to the audience. Nick explains he thinks about how technology and psychology affect finances. Nick urges viewers to subscribe and like the video. Nick references common scams like Nigerian prince emails. He mentions poorly spelled phishing texts about Netflix accounts. He says most people think they're too smart for scams. He points out people assume their parents or grandparents would recognize their voices. Nick explains the common assumption. Identity is a secure asset. Says people believe their voice is a safe key to family trust. Nick warns that this assumption is now dead. Reveals that voices can be copied for less than the price of a Starbucks latte. Nick presents shocking statistics about fraud losses in 2023. He says consumers lost over $10 billion to fraud. He highlights that $2.7 billion was lost to imposter scams. Nick explains the scammers' return on investment is higher than ever. He compares old scams, which required acting skills and luck. He describes how scammers now use AI voice cloning tools. He explains scammers can find a 15-second clip of your voice online. He says scammers upload the clip to a cloning site for about $5. Nick explains scammers ask for $5,000 in bail money. Calculates the scammer's return as 99,900%. He compares this to the S&P 500's 10% annual return. Nick says scammers are now like tech startups selling panic. Nick anticipates viewers thinking their smart relatives wouldn't fall for scams. He explains this isn't about intelligence but biology. He describes how hearing a loved one in distress triggers a chemical response. He explains the prefrontal cortex shuts down during panic. He says cortisol and adrenaline flood the brain. Nick introduces the concept of the urgency gap. He explains scammers create time pressure to force quick decisions. He gives examples of scammers saying a judge is coming in 10 minutes or a hospital needs a deposit. He explains this forces the brain into a reactive state. Nick compares solving a math problem calmly versus under threat. He says for grandparents, the distressed voice is like a tiger chasing them. A person sits at a computer, looking at a video labeled Deepfake. A split screen shows Hollywood-level CGI on one side and a simple, AI-generated face on the other. A close-up of a voice waveform, comparing it to a fingerprint with ridges morphing into sound waves. A hand attempts to hand-draw a famous painting, struggling with details. A modern printer spits out a perfect replica of the same painting, symbolizing AI's efficiency. An AI interface analyzes a voice recording, highlighting pauses and pitch changes. A timer counts down 3 seconds as a microphone records someone's voice. A digital voice clone speaks, sounding nearly identical to the original person. A group of people listen to the cloned voice, unable to tell the difference. Clips of everyday life, a vacation video, a birthday message, a LinkedIn job update. Icons representing social media platforms appear, showing audio clips being uploaded. A montage of people sharing audio online, unaware of the risks. A shadowy figure collects audio samples from various online sources. A family sits at a table, unaware that their voices are being used for scams. Text appears. You are providing the raw materials for your own family's financial ruin. A worried person realizes their online posts could be used against them. A group of people debate the risks, some dismissing the concerns. A person raises an objection, but the bank will stop it. A visual of a bank teller shaking their head, unable to help. A wire transfer is initiated, the money disappearing instantly. A person tries to reverse the transfer, but the funds are already gone. A scammer celebrates receiving the transferred money. The chart shows the evolution of scam delivery mechanisms over time. Icons for cryptocurrency, gold bars, digital payment apps, and gift cards appear. A scammer requests payment in cryptocurrency, the victim hesitates. A gold bar is handed over in a shady transaction. Phone screen shows a Zelle or a Venmo payment being sent. A person buys a stack of gift cards at a store, looking confused. A distressed grandparent receives a call from someone claiming to be their grandson. The caller, pretending to be in jail, pleads for Apple gift cards to pay bail. The grandparent rushes to CVS, worried and anxious. They purchase $4,000 in Apple gift cards, handing them to the cashier. The cashier looks skeptical, but completes the transaction. The grandparent sends the gift card codes to the scammer over the phone. The scammer receives the codes and immediately redeems them. A visual of urgency gap, logic fades as panic rises. A split screen shows logical thinking on one side and emotional panic on the other. A montage of victims realizing they've been scammed, distraught and upset. A news headline flashes. Deepfake scams on the rise. A family discusses how to protect themselves from voice cloning scams. A tech expert explains the dangers of sharing audio online. A person deletes old audio posts from their social media accounts. A warning message appears on screen. Protect your voice. Protect your family. A group of people attend a seminar on digital safety. A list of tips for avoiding voice cloning scams is shown. A person sets up two-factor authentication on their accounts. A family celebrates successfully avoiding a scam attempt. A scammer, frustrated, tries to find new victims. A community comes together to educate others about deepfake dangers. The narrator concludes. Stay vigilant. The math is changing, but so can you. A narrator introduces the escalation of scams, moving beyond the grandparent scam. A person receives a voice note from their CEO, the voice sounding exactly like their boss. The person listens to the urgent request to move company funds for an acquisition. A scammer, using a cloned voice, pressures the employee to transfer money immediately. Another person receives a terrifying phone call with a child screaming in the background. The scammer demands a ransom, claiming the child has been kidnapped. A parent, panicked, believes their child is in danger and prepares to send money. The narrator describes the huge financial losses suffered by scam victims. A retiree stares in shock at an empty bank account, having lost their life savings. The emotional trauma of the scam is shown on the faces of several victims. The narrator transitions to an action plan to protect families from these scams. A family gathers around a table, listening intently to the narrator's advice. Step 1 is introduced. The family safe word. A parent explains the concept of a safe word to their children and grandparents. Family members brainstorm and agree on a random phrase like blue pineapple. A grandparent repeats the safe word, committing it to memory. The narrator stresses the importance of using the safe word in emergencies. A family member role-plays a fake emergency call, testing the safe word protocol. Step 2 is introduced, the callback rule. A family member receives a suspicious emergency call. Instead of responding, they hang up and call the real number saved in their contacts. The scammer is thwarted when the family member confirms the real situation. Step 3 is introduced, the social media audit. A teenager scrolls through their public social media profile. The family discusses privacy settings and the risks of sharing personal information. The teenager changes their profile to private, limiting access to friends and family. The narrator summarizes the 3 steps and their minimal time investment. A clock shows the brief moments required for each protective step. The narrator explains the concept of expected value in protecting family finances. A visual comparison shows the small effort versus the potential savings of hundreds of thousands of dollars. The narrator compares these steps to buying insurance as a hedge against disaster. A family feels reassured, knowing they have taken simple steps to protect themselves. The narrator delivers a motivational message about the unchanging nature of the human heart. Scammers are depicted as shadowy figures, betting on people's love for their families. A parent hugs their child, symbolizing the strength of family bonds. The narrator warns not to let love be exploited by scammers. A viewer is shown sharing the video with their parents via text message. A young adult calls their grandmother, explaining the safe word concept. The grandmother looks puzzled, but listens carefully, nodding in understanding. The narrator acknowledges the awkwardness of the conversation, but emphasizes its importance. A split screen shows a family member and their grandparent having the 5-minute conversation. A visual reminder of the potential $50,000 loss flashes on screen. The narrator reflects on how people worry about financial markets, but overlook scam risks. A person anxiously checks stock prices and inflation news on their phone. The narrator reveals that the biggest threat may be a $5 AI tool and a phone call. A scammer is shown using a cheap AI tool to clone voices and prepare a scam. The narrator urges viewers to stay vigilant and keep their math sharp. Family sits together, feeling empowered and protected after following the steps. The narrator signs off, promising to see viewers in the next video. The screen fades out with a final reminder to share the information with loved ones.